What's going on? It's Michael with Walk the Path. I'm here today with Dr. Bill Lovett. We're going to talk about health and get into his journey. So I first met Dr. Lovett way back when I was just a little guy running around. I'm friends with his son and grown up as family friends together. So Dr. Lovett's here today. We're going to get into it. Let's first start talking about what you're doing today.
What I'm doing today is I'm doing basically health and wellness. And what we're doing is weight loss, doing hormone replacement, metabolic medicine, lipidology, all the things we can do to really improve patients' health.
Okay. Let's get a little bit more into your journey. So how did you get to this point of where you are today?
Wow.
It's probably there's a lot that you could cover, I'm sure. But maybe let's just start with, did you always know that you wanted to be a doctor?
I did, Michael. And unfortunately, I'm one of those kids who really did not do well in school. Mm-hmm. I found out later, and I was, in the summer actually, I kept on going to a college being used as a guinea pig for what we now know are learning disabilities. I was labeled, quote, dyslexic then. Okay. I almost failed out a grade in elementary school. But I knew by the age of 8 I wanted to be a physician. My best friend's dad was a doc, and I just absolutely admired him and what he could do. And I, even when I was 12 years old, I even got into a hospital and got to watch a surgery. So it's not. I knew then I was dead on. So I had struggles. I had to be tutored in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade from the English and spelling side, because that is my true disability. Got into junior high, got through high school, still wanted to do it. Did not do well my first year of college, but once I got out of the English and language kind of pieces, I flourished. And I still was able to graduate with honors out of college. I was able to get in medical school. But that whole process, every day was a struggle. I mean, just because I was learning disabled, I wasn't going to make it stop me or let it stop me. Even though there was a lot of people on the way who said that I probably would never make it there, I chose to make it, and that really is the key. So,
And that's got to feel rich where you are today, of all those people who...
Yeah, I mean, I think when people are born, they're kind of born with an innate feeling of what they can and can't do. Children have their own personalities, and you're born with those. I think you can actually change some of the personality by modeling. I'm not sure talking to anybody is going to really get them to change their personality. Sure. But if you sit there and you have somebody you admire and you watch them do what they do every single day and you still admire it, you will change your personality to that point, to the peak of where you want to be like them. And then you start modeling their behaviors, and it allows you to overcome a lot of obstacles. So, did go to medical school, went to residency, actually really thought I was going to be a cardiothoracic surgeon. That's really what I wanted to be. Until my oldest son got born, and one day he hopped on my lap and brought me a book called Are You My Mommy? And I was had already applied to residency programs in surgery, and we're reading this whole book, and by the time I get to the end, I'm like, he's going to look at me 12 years from now and say, are you my daddy? So, because those kind of residencies, you're just not around. Because you do a residency and then you do a fellowship, and at that point, it became a family issue for me. So my second love was emergency medicine. So I did apply to emergency medicine residency programs, did get in, finished my ER program, and then moved back to Cincinnati, where I started the life of an ER doc.
And talk a little bit about what that's like.
It's shift work. I mean, you're working nights, weekends, and holidays. You're working when a lot of people aren't working, you're working most of the time. We were working either 9 to 12-hour shifts a day. So you're going in and you're seeing patients constantly. You don't get a lunch break. You don't get your 2 15-minute breaks as a professional. You go the whole 9 or the whole 10 hours or the whole 12 hours, and you take care of people. You listen to their complaints, and you try to help them. Some people, you certainly have opinions whether they really should be there or not, but sometimes that's the only resource they have, and you just have to understand that too. 85% of what I do is primary care medicine. It's something a family practice doctor should be able to do. 15% are patients that really are true emergencies, and what I was really trained to do on the top end. whether it's doing CPR on them, whether it's treating strokes or heart attacks, or trauma. That's what I was really trained to do on the top end. As my whole life evolved, I started becoming very involved in EMS, emergency medical services, in the fire departments, and started becoming medical directors of some of those departments. And as time kept going through this whole process, I was asked by a group of 6 fire departments to become their occupational health provider.
Okay.
So we started this basically in a small office, 2 rooms, 12 by 12, no phone, no internet. I bought an EKG machine off eBay. Got an exam bed donated by a hospital, and I said, hey, we're open for business. And we weren't even going to charge them anything. We were just going to do it. Because the premise was we were going to see about 1 injury per month and maybe 1 new firefighter hire per month. So I get a phone call from this one FEMA team, said, hey, are you Dr. Lovett? I said, well, yeah. I guess, well, I'm so-and-so, and I have like 20 people that need to have physicals. I understand you can do firefighter physicals in Cincinnati. And I said, well sure. Haven't done any yet. So sure enough, the first guy shows up, and literally within about a week or 2, we had 40 people scheduled, not 20.
Wow.
And basically within a period of about 8 months, instead of being in 2 rooms, I was in 8 rooms. We had bought a stress test machine. We had bought a hearing booth. We had bought all this other equipment. And basically I had a full-fledged occupational office at that point.
Wow.
It got to the point to where it was just killing me because I was still working full-time ER, and now I'm starting to develop this full-time occupational practice. And to do it the way we were doing it was just not working. It was not going to work well. So I put the plan together in 2003 to put it all inside a semi-trailer. So we actually started building a semi-trailer, and we were out on my driveway. I had all the dimensions of a semi-trailer. We had all the footprints of all the equipment we needed on pieces of cardboard, but we were trying to figure out how to get it all in a semi-trailer. And it was difficult because this was before slide outs and things.
Sure.
We just had a trailer, we just had a shell. So we sat there and finally we figured it out, and then in July of 2004, we got a semi-trailer shipped to us, put everything in it, diesel generators and all, hooked up to the front end of a semi-truck and pulled it everywhere we wanted it. And then that was the best decision we ever made, because now I was bringing it to them, and I was able to start doing complete physicals on site at the firehouses. And then the nice part about them is they never had to leave work. So they were still all on premise. They were all still able to respond, and it really made a win-win situation. We built that business, got a second trailer, got 55 clients in 3 states, and as that kept going, we noticed our firefighters were starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and we had fire chiefs complaining that they're having to buy new turnout gear for their firefighters, and so they're getting heavier and heavier and heavier. So we started learning a lot about obesity medicine. So that's kind of where I got my foot in the door, and that was probably around 2008 when we really started looking at how to start taking care of some of these obese firefighters. As things kept going, we kept on improving our information, our studies, started going to courses on obesity medicine, which there were 2 or 3 organizations out there who were really started to flourish. As we kind of became more educated on that, same time as we were noticing that our firefighters were becoming more fatigued, more forgetful, more tired. And next thing we know, we're like, wow, what's their testosterone levels? And so we started measuring testosterone levels. And so we started, at the same time we were kind of getting to the end of all our work with obesity, we started the back end and really started working on, hormones and how they worked, and metabolic medicine, and we started going to conferences, and then we started networking with other individuals. And now we're to the point where, I'm board certified in obesity medicine. You can't get a board certification in hormone replacement, but we have certifications in hormone replacement. And, right now between the 4 providers in our office, we are probably the most experienced hormone replacement center probably within 20 states. I mean, it's, we do a ton here. And people travel 4, 5, 6 hours away to see us.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's they keep coming back. So we certainly are doing something
So it's clearly
right.
working.
It's clearly working.
You're growing.
And the nice part about it is it's such a great interaction because we're tracking numbers that nobody else can track now. 80% of our patients that come in obese need hormones.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean if they weren't obese would they need hormones. But because obesity is such a disease of the whole body,
it's not just about losing a little weight.
It's not. There's 150 hormones in the adipose of your abdomen trying to make you diabetic at all times.
Gotcha.
We've only identified one good hormone in the adipose of the abdomen. The problem is the more obese you get, the less of it you have. So, that's why there's a correlation with obesity and type 2 diabetes, because all these little hormones are working to make you obese. And that's where a lot of the pharmacology and a lot of pharmacy companies are really trying to find a way to alter those hormones in a way that they could have the ideal weight loss drug. Right now everything's kind of really pointed towards stimulants, okay, and antidepressants to try to treat those things. But it truly is that if you want to treat the whole body, you got to treat the whole body, and that's wellness. So you have to be able to treat the weight loss issues, hormone issues, the metabolic issues, the lipidology issues all at once, because sometimes they're all hand in hand. So that's what we do.
So as far as your journey, let's start with what's been maybe the toughest part, or what have been some of the tough times?
Toughest time probably for us was probably in 2009 and 2010. We had some side businesses where we were completely silent partners with, which did not do so well. I was convinced that it was the right thing to do, and in the end, it was not the right thing to do. And before we know it, those other organizations were really in bankruptcy, and the managing partner bankrupt, and the next thing you know, everybody was looking at me to bankroll the whole deal. My wife and I had to put things on hold for 4 years. We had to really work hard on prioritizing, negotiating, putting all our pieces out there on the table and say, listen, this is what we can do. If you don't work with us, we're going to file bankruptcy. You're going to get nothing. So, and we got everybody at the table, and we worked it all out. And it was 4 years of really what my wife and I will tell you was terrible in our life. But you learn by your mistakes. And for us, the truism here is understand who you're getting in bed with as a business partner. And I thought I knew this individual. I thought I knew that individual well. Obviously, I didn't know that individual well enough, and that really is the piece. I will probably never get in business with another business partner in a business where I don't completely control at least the managing piece of it all. And so that was probably the hardest lesson to learn. I know what my capabilities are and my drive is. I'm not sure everybody else has the same drive as I do. I've built now 2 and almost 3 multi-million-dollar companies.
Wow.
Working on a 4th. So we have a system in place, and I'm not going to let anybody railroad that again. So everything I own, I will own either wholly or at least by far own the majority of the voting membership.
Sure. So with that, what's been some of the best parts of your journey?
I think the best part of some of the best parts are the total satisfaction that I was able to eventually get to a position in my life where I actually love what I do. A lot of people take a job because it's a job and they need money, and then they hate their job and they're looking for whatever. My advice is make sure you're reading a lot of things that really allow you to expand your brain to the point to where, go on and dream big. If you want to dream big, you don't have to stay in a rut. Just keep on reaching outside the box. Doesn't mean that you really want to go too far outside the box. I was reading a book by Donald Trump once. He goes, you just kind of want to be on the edge of the box. But no, it's understanding that you can enjoy what you do, and just reading books that really kind of get you there. Whether it's entrepreneurial books, whether it's books on management. There's a lot of books out there that talk about developing the work you love. But when I walk in and people are smiling when they come in because they've lost 10 pounds, or all of a sudden, their testosterone kicked in, and they're having a relationship with their spouse that they haven't had for 10 years
Sure.
or whatever. That is really kind of the fun part for us. The other piece of the puzzle is we've built this our last two businesses along with family, and it's always great to work with family. At least from my side it is. I'm not sure everybody wants to work with their family. And a lot of people ask my wife and I all the time, what's it feel like going to work with your husband or your wife? And we enjoy it. I mean, we both have a job to do within the organization. It is not the same job, thank goodness. At that point, we may have some issues. But she has her responsibilities. I have my responsibilities. The downside of that, I will tell you, is and something that we're really working on now is that when you go home, you have to be able to shut the office off, and that is a problem. I will tell you that. But it sometimes is. Sometimes she's at one office, like the occupational office, and I'm at the other office, and then she needs to talk to me about things that happened at the occupational office. There has to be a point in there during the night you say, hey, listen, we got to turn this off, because we truly are talking business 12 hours a day, and we need to talk about other things.
Right.
So it's the good and the bad.
Sure. Are there things that you do in your daily routine, or just maybe on a weekly basis, monthly basis, whatever it is, that kind of help you make you more successful? Are there things that you're doing differently, whether it's thinking about things differently, or like you had mentioned, reading things that you want to share?
Success is based on a lot of things. I mean, success is based on modeling yourself after other successful people. Some people, good or bad, think Dave Ramsey's the best person out there for financial support. I will tell you, 90 to 95% of the population needs Dave Ramsey, that without a doubt. I get that. There are those out there who probably don't need Dave Ramsey, but it doesn't mean that there's not things on his, like for example, his entrepreneurship book that you can't pick up as a business leader. I like reading things like Robert Kiyosaki, who did Rich Man, Poor Dad.
Sure.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I like reading Donald Trump, even no matter what you take, because Donald kind of gives me the entrepreneurial spirit in my brain. It's okay. What I'm thinking is okay. But I certainly read a lot of books on E-Myth. Gerber was a great book. Allowed me to make sure that we tweak everything to the highest efficiency with the least amount of work. Was another great book for me. The 15 was it 15 habits of, or no, the 15 invaluable laws of growth. Okay, another great book. These are, in fact, that may be the book you need to read first, to be honest with you. It sits there and really takes your brain and says, what really is your passion? It really makes you define what your passion is. It makes you look in the mirror. It makes you do things as an individual. So, it's a book every 3 to 5 years you got to pick up and read. Reading is important. Number 2 is the first thing I do every morning is I take out a business card and I write down the things I have to get done that day. The day doesn't end until that card's done. And these aren't things which can be done next week, but these are things that absolutely have to be done before I go to bed tonight. So in a lot of times those are meetings. I know I had 3 meetings today. Those were on the card. I also noted I needed to get through a stack of business reports. That had to be done today. Could not be done tomorrow. So I organize my brain that way. I carry a calendar with me all the time, and I look at the calendar. I know what tomorrow is, the next day, day. So sometimes there's things I can't get done today. I know I can't get it done today, but it's okay to do it on Thursday. So I write on the Thursday calendar this one word to remind me to put that on the Thursday calendar. But those are the things I do on a daily basis. I read an article not too long ago that the CEOs of the top 500 companies read four books a month. I don't know how they do it. Okay, I struggle getting 2 in. Fortunately, I have some travel time, so I can do some books on tape. But those are probably the 2 pieces of advice I can give you. Delegate wisely would be my 3rd one. The nice part about delegating wisely is I'm usually delegating to family. So,
you can trust.
I can trust. I don't have to worry about it. I know it's going to get done. I usually get I usually get an email or a text done. And the fourth is
plus you know where they live.
I know where they live. And probably the fourth thing I do is I have one key or two key employees that you wholeheartedly you give the keys to the kingdom to, sorta. In other words, you know they're trustworthy. You've been with them a long time, and they're solely loyal to you. So you can delegate things to them also, and they like that. I mean, because they get to do things that they normally wouldn't do. I mean, I have a nurse I'm sending on a trip to get educated on obesity medicine, and he texts me back. He goes, this course cost $1,000, don't you? I said yes, and he was just blown away that I'm willing to put money in him to learn, to come back to be a valuable asset for me. So, it's those kind of little key pieces. You always need to keep your finger on the pulse, though.
Sure.
I mean, that is the key. I mean, I keep a checklist with our business meetings, and I come back, and 2 weeks later, I go back and hit every highlight we did previously. I want to know where those pieces are, and I'm looking at the next 6, 7 things we got to do.
Right.
And so I always keep a checklist on everybody here, exactly what their responsibilities were. Did they get it done? Did they not get it done? Is it a process? Where's the hang up? Because there may be somebody I know or something I know that will help them.
Sure.
Overcome those hurdles.
Sure. Tell me this, on your journey, there's obviously been some obstacles that you've overcome. And even just starting from when you were really little, where people were saying you might not be a good fit to be a doctor. Mm-hmm. And then obviously getting into business troubles or getting into business with partners that, didn't treat you well. What has been maybe the key ingredient that has helped you get there? Maybe a relationship with God or just your intuition? How did you know to keep going, to keep pushing through?
Linda and I prayed a lot. We pray. In fact, we pray every day together. My wife and I do. I will tell you that I actually at one point took and asked what my own internal principles were, and I would say that looking back, the word integrity and the word being honest with myself always kind of got me through it all. Even when we were in financial PUA, sitting down and making a list of who the creditors were, mm-hmm. calling them because they didn't know me from Adam because they never talked to me, and saying, listen, this is what's going on, being honest with them up front. And they were at that point, even though they didn't like me a whole lot because of just affiliation, I at least had an ability to open up the door and talk with them. But certainly putting together a list of your own personality traits. The one book I mentioned, 15 Laws of Growth by Maxwell, it really helps you do that. You're able to sit down and you say, perseverance was number 2 on my list. Between integrity and perseverance, I would say that probably got me through from the standpoint of personal traits. But certainly praying to God and asking for His help, and it's amazing how many times He opens the door for you.
Mm-hmm. Tell me this: what is your favorite quote?
Wow. When there's an obstacle, there's always opportunity.
Awesome.
And the problem is, I made it. And it's written up on the board in my other office. When there's an obstacle, there's always an opportunity.
Awesome. Who do you look up to? Whether it's somebody in history or somebody currently?
I really look up to Donald Trump. I mean, the guy really has just done well. I mean, whether you like him or not, I don't care. I'm not even saying I like him, but I like what he's done from the standpoint of business integrity, and that he holds everybody accountable. Mm-hmm. And that really is his success model. I mean, he holds everybody accountable. You cannot be a day late on whatever project he's building at that time. I love Donald. Robert Kiyosaki, he's okay. I won't say that I look up to him, but I like Donald Trump a lot. I like people who really can rise up and understand that it's integrity, it's perseverance.
Sure.
Steve Jobs, I looked up a lot. We actually have the exact same personality type on when we did personality testing. I've got his exact type. So Steve Jobs is up there probably with me too. So those are probably the people I really look up to.
Sure.
I know he's not around, but certainly from the standpoint of business and financial investments, probably Warren Buffett. I mean, to read him, it's just, he's amazing. And again, but when you look at him, I think when you look at all these individual peoples and their traits, it's going to turn out to be integrity and perseverance every single time.
Sure. Sure. Tell me this, what advice would you give for somebody who's on their journey or somebody who's thinking about starting a journey?
Well, I mean, it depends what kind of journey it is. Never let anybody tell you no. I mean, if you can see it, you can do it. If you can see it, you can put a plan together. The individual telling you no is probably you just can't see it, and they don't see the plan. So, you know, certainly there's no reason why you can't do almost anything you want to do. I think, two, is get to know yourself first. You have to know what your strengths and your weaknesses are, and you have to build on your weaknesses. You know, take your strengths, continue to strengthen your strengths, but look at your weaknesses and use your strengths to grow your weaknesses. My weakness was language, so you know I had to find ways to affect that. How did I affect that? I took more courses in language. I did more speech courses. I did things while I was in college to help me improve my ability to communicate. But don't let people steal your dream. Don't let people steal your thunder. Number two, if you're entrepreneurial, then think big, and then think how to get there. My brain is going, you know, all the time. You know, I'm thinking 400 things a second. My family will tell you that. They'll tell me sometimes they'll have to ask me the question twice because they know I'm checked out and somewhere else. Not because I'm having an absent seizure. It's because my brain is focused on a solution to a problem we have.
Sure.
You know, business people are problem solvers.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs are problem solvers. That's how they're entrepreneurial. They solved a problem. So just don't let people steal your thunder, steal your dreams, and you know, start reading. You'll find it. But find things which are positively influenced for you. Don't go read things which, you know, don't go read Marx. You know, don't go read things which are, you know, are going to be history if you want to move forward. I mean, I understand history repeats itself, but from the standpoint of business and entrepreneurship, you need to look for people who have been business leaders and entrepreneurial leaders, see how they did it, what they did, what they think, how they do it, and what they read. I mean, I look at what Dave Ramsey reads all the time. Now, do I love Dave Ramsey? No, but I like what he reads, because his reading list is where I started and where I continue to start. And you know, I've got books on tape that I listen to in the car, and I have other books I read. I write them, I mark them, whatever. You know, people can't steal my books because I've written in them. You know, I want my book. So It is what it is.
Again, this is Michael with Walk the Path. I'm here with Dr. Bill Lovett with Your Wellness Center, and the website is yourwellnesscenter.com. Thanks again. Good luck to everybody out there. Take care.